E-commerce with Cocktails Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to e-commerce technology professionals and cocktail aficionados. With your hosts, Gary Schock, Brian Gillespie, and John Tench.
So kick us off. Happy Friday.
It's a real live Friday.
We made it through the week again, guys. This is episode 2 of Commerce and Cocktails. Welcome.
I'll tell you, it's great to be back. It was a good week, long week. It's good to be back on a Friday afternoon.
A lot of good client conversations and a lot of fun along the way. Last I checked, and I am really thrilled to welcome a wonderful guest in Mr. John Beechin. John, what are we working on, man?
Today we're making a ginger smash.
Right.
Ginger smash is a delightful drink, and we're using real ginger root. We have lime in it. We have Mr. George Clooney's best Casamigos tequila, to my amigos here. We have Contro and a little bit of lime and love for the cocktails.
Wow, now we're talking.
And I'll put the recipe up in the comments or on screen as a slide. But yeah, we have 1.5 ounces of tequila.
Okay.
3/4 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of Contro, a teaspoon of sugar, and 2 slices of ginger root today for the ginger smash. You muddle the ginger in the Contro and the sugar in the glass. A brief shake of the tequila and the lime juice, which I'll show you in a moment, and then you just pour it in and drink it. Really
is another word for muddling, smashing, because I think smashing is a topic of today's episode too.
That's why I chose this drink. We're smashing paradigms today. So dive into that concept. This is the drink that you'll enjoy as you go.
We're going to watch you sub-assemble this thing. Well, I think we get started on a topic that is near and dear to all of our hearts that we've been debating for, 8-10 years? God only knows. You remember living in the house, 750 square feet, 1,000 square feet, and you got 4 roommates? Yeah, not a lot of fun, Joe comes in late at night, grabs your dinner out of your fridge. So Larry took your last beer, right? And then you get up in the morning and you realized, okay, the whole house is a disaster. But then you go, okay, living with roommates. But then it gets worse, right? Now, it's Saturday and somebody posted out there, it's a house party at your house. And now you got 100 people outside the door crashing your house, right?
Was not expecting that.
Not expecting that. And then the whole thing comes tumbling down. So I think this is under the concept, this is a long preamble of, John, I think your favorite topic.
Oh,
what am I talking about? and what is no, I have not started drinking yet. I will be making a drink shortly. So please, John.
So anyway, it's one of my favorite soapboxes right now. And there's a term that everybody uses that I think is totally irrelevant right now. But, Gary's point about, your roommate stealing stuff from you, all those kind of things, to me, it's just like multi-tenancy, right? I mean, in one of my favorite terms, it's not dead, but it's my hook. And that's the death of multi-tenancy. I mean, I double-clicked on that email. Well, what in the world's this dude talking about, the death of multi-tenancy?
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the multi-tenancy, and you're telling me it's already dead? Yep, we killed it. We smashed it.
So let's define it, though. What is multi-tenancy, Mr. John Tench?
So, a tenant it doesn't need to be a person. It can be a thing. It could be another application. So in our space, right, especially when we start getting into the containerized kind of world and all that kind of stuff, a tenant can be your application. It could be another instance of your application. It could be another version of your application. It could be parts of your application. It could be somebody else's application. It could be any of those things, right? So what we've really said is that with cloud native, we've surpassed multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is a thing that's old. With being cloud native, we can say that, hey, you can run this thing anywhere. Everybody's a tenant now. But the way that we've constructed it, well, we put a lock on the door so nobody can walk in and steal your wallet, because you can run it on-prem. I can run it in the cloud. And matter of fact, I'm not tied to the cloud that I'm running in. Matter of fact, if I want, I can run it on-prem and in 2 or 3 clouds all at the same time. Yep. So I'm not locked into where I do it. So, if I feel like somebody is stealing my sandwich or somebody's stealing my beer, right? Well, I can move it. I get the opportunity to move it. I'm not stuck where I am. So to me, we've had this conversation a little bit, and we vetted it. And at first, some of the people, when I was like death of multi-tenancy, they're like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" And honestly, by the time we got through the conversation, they're like, "You're really onto something, because multi-tenancy is kind of irrelevant in a containerized world, right? In a containerized world, a tenant can be everything." And then my favorite word, Kubernetes, right? Sometimes I think it's my nickname. I wake up in the middle of the night when people say it.
Kubernetes.
Kubernetes. Right. So that with Kubernetes, right, and the scalability dreams that we all had of in this, especially in e-commerce, right, when you had these huge demands come in. I know whenever I was managing and hosting a lot of sites, I'd get our products would be on television shows, and I would prep for those television shows for weeks. And still cross my fingers and hope the site didn't come down, right? And I can only scale to as much as I had. Well, now with containerization and all those kind of things in Kubernetes, I can let it go eat. I don't have to go and scale out weeks ahead of time. I can be like, look, bring it on. I can scale with you.
Yeah, and I can give you an example of that, John, because I'm
did a lot of cocktail while we go here, guys. I'll explain it in a minute. So
cheers,
I do mine by
cheers.
count. Cheers. Cheers. I'll be saluting you in a second.
John, I used to, you know this well, run the peak operations team in the UK for a major vendor, and we orchestrated some very, very smart people other than me, orchestrated some dashboards, and we were looking at content systems and search systems outside of our tenants, outside of our customers' domain for commerce. And many of those services were multi-tenant. And you could see as the load ramped up, how the performance ramped down. It was like a beach trying to survive a tidal wave. You just don't want to share when life gets busy.
Right.
When things get busy, you want it all to yourself. And that's
what. The roommate.
Exactly.
I think
Wait a second. Well, there's another nugget there that I'm not going to double click into, but when things get busy, I want it all to myself.
But that's really what we're talking about, right?
Right.
Do you want to share? Do you want to share your systems? Do you want to share the infrastructure? Do you want to share these applications with a whole bunch of people you don't know?
More importantly, sharing your data. The data, right? That's your lunch.
Taking it and sharing it with everybody else. We're like, okay, great.
Anonymized.
Data. Let me tell your competitor how I'm going to use your data to make them better too.
And they anonymize it, and they enforce it through their contracts, right? And I'm like, wow. I mean, really?
So
by the way, yeah.
One of your key strengths is your data, right? So, multi-tenancy, it doesn't matter anymore. The reason people really wanted it was the pipe dream of scalability. That's what it was all about in code releases and those kind of things, right? So
it's the only way to do it.
Code. Well, I can give you containers. I can handle your upgrade. I can make it all easy to upgrade, right? And I can scale with the same technology.
Exactly.
Why does it matter?
I think there's also more, right? So if you go back, multi-tenancy was not only just about, the scalability, but it was no. I mean, I'm going to use the term that are one of our competitors. No software. You didn't have to worry about installing the applications. You didn't have to worry about setting up those environments. And 10 years ago, that was huge. I mean, so multi-tenancy, absolutely 10 years ago, spot on. However, it also introduced limitations. It introduced limitations around the flexibility that customers
follow the herd, brother. Right?
I'm sorry?
You got to follow the herd. You're with the herd.
Right. Well, and true, wasn't it? It's like, oh, and it's cheap because guess what? You're living with everyone else. It's back to 5 roommates get to split the 700 square foot house. Yeah, that's cool.
When you,
It's what we did when we were young.
Cheers.
And inexpensive. Cheers, Gary. That looks like a wonderful drink, by the way. We didn't have much money. We had to share, but we can do it without sharing now. And I just think that's the key.
And I think that's the point. So now with cloud native, you get the same benefits of multi-tenancy and more.
And we've defined that. I think that's us. If you think of what HCO is software, right? And commerce, I think, is leading the way in a lot of ways. Everyone else is, because we've been at this a while. We get it. We know how to do it. And so cloud native, by definition, is exactly what this is. Hybrid cloud, private cloud, public cloud. Why do you care, right? And that's really the bigger point. I mean, what I'm amazed with is software companies that are chasing cloud, and they're not talking about investing in the software. And that, I think, is the difference. Why do you care? It's a commodity. Yes, there's good ones, bad ones. There's not bad ones, but come on, it's iron, and it's up in the air, and you can access it, and you can have any preference you want. We'll support them all. Let's invest in the software.
Right. What runs on top of it, right? And that's what drives the experience, and that's what needs to scale. Those are the pieces that are important.
Okay, I know we're on cloud native, and we're probably getting right up against the time, but I think this tees up an interesting topic for the next one, maybe. What we just talked about, we don't know everything. That's what's so cool, is that we don't come at it from, to your point, we've seen a lot of stuff, but here's the thing. By seeing a lot of things, we're bringing it back to the table. What it means is that we're observing, we're paying attention, we're listening. We're passionate about it. We try to think about, wow, that's a pattern. It's pattern recognition. It's right. It's wisdom. It's saying, we've seen this before. I've seen this play before. But here's the other cool thing. Sorry to deviate, but we also have some new folks on that catch our blind spots. So we've got a great, what I'm almost calling a creative democracy going in this team, right? And closing this loop, all of these concepts, all of these thoughts that we have, what I love about this is we'll root them in the client, we'll come up with the concept, it goes into John's team, and John, you can actually create MVPs around this and prototypes. John Beechin and Brian, it goes into development. It all feeds seamlessly in one loop. And it goes like this. And it's this constant feedback, right? And by breaking all those barriers down, it's like we can take advantage of cloud native by operating in this way. We could not have done this in this way in the old paradigm. No way.
And the amount of the cloud native really enables us to collaborate more with our customers in this space. Absolutely.
Full stop.
Yep. Well, the technology is just now there for all this stuff to come to life, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Wrap it in a bow, Gary. You're good at that.
Thinking. It is almost the holiday time.
This is the only bow we need.
So with this, gentlemen, I can't wait for. I'm sure we'll have new guests coming. John, you got to be right. This is it, man. You're on the case here. This is full-time job now. This is what you're doing on Fridays. Is new topics, new ideas, new cocktails. But more importantly, we just want to thank everyone for really, being a part of this journey. All of us together. Whether you are on HCL Commerce or not, isn't really the point. The point is, we just want to share some thinking, some ideas, some concepts, things we see. We're all better for it. And I think more than anything at this time, especially, is that the systems and the things that we're doing, we know it's helping people out there that need products, needs goods, needs services, needs jobs, right? Digital isn't replacing it. I think it's driving and hopefully driving demand just in a different way. So we're very thoughtful in all this, and we want to wish everyone out there good health. In the U.S., we have Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks, but for now, cheers, gentlemen. Thank you.
Cheers.
Happy Friday. We're off and running.